Hello everyone, welcome back to the art tutorial for beginners part 2. In this video I will show you how to randomly split data in a data frame, and then I will show how you can actually standardize and normalize data. To show the example, let us go back to the code I have been following throughout this tutorial series. And if you see the code, which is basically r_beginner_part2.r, in this tutorial, if you go to the line number 268, here you can see the randomly splitting codes. So what I did here is, for example, the data frame that I have been using throughout this tutorial is like df. Let's show you how the df looks like. So the df have data, month, year, and location ABC, which is basically rainfall. What I want is to divide this data into two groups. So why I want to do that? So many times what happened is you want to use a portion of the data for model training. It may be regression, it can be some advanced model. You want portion of the data for training and the rest of the data for validation to see if your model works well. So you might want to do it randomly. So what I'm doing here is basically using a function that's called sample, and then this first value basically is saying that split into two, and n row df saying how many rows are there. Basically in this case it is 144, and you can actually replace it. So I'm mentioning it's as 2. The probability in this case PROB, like the first value 0.6 means 60% and 0.4 is 40%, means that the first set of data will have 60% of the data and second set will be 40%. So this thing, what it does, this line of code, if you press Ctrl Enter, which will execute this line, if you look at this ID, you can see that these only have two types of value, 2 and 1. So what it means, so these are giving some kind of index that the first value or first row in the df data frame can be in the group 2, and the second row and third row group 1, and similarly others. So if we want to separate the group 1 and 2, what I can do is, for example, I'm creating a variable grp1 group 1, and I'm saying that data frame and all the rows that have value 1. So in this case, I'm saying the ID equal to 1. So what it does is it takes all the rows in the data frame df having ID equal to 1. So whoever having ID equal to 1 in this ID variable, those row those row will basically go to group 1. So let's see how it looks like. So for example, if I want to see like head grp1, and you see that basically, just look at this. So the group 1 had ID equal to basically 1 in this case. So the second and third one has a value of 1. So this means that in the original data frame df, the second and third row will go into group 1. So it is easier to see here the row name in the original data frame, which was 2 and 3, which is 2 and 3, came into the group 1. Whereas the row number 1 is missing in this group 1 data. So however, I think it kind of explains what I'm trying to make you understand. So basically what I'm doing is splitting data into 2, and the ID, the sample, is creating the index, and I'm using that index to divide the data into 2 groups. So you can also check the dimension of the original data, 144 rows, and dimension of the 2, which you can clearly see that how the data is divided into 2 groups. So the next thing is basically standardizing and normalizing the data. So standardizing, what is standardizing? That's the first thing. So by standardizing means that you have a data, you want to remove the mean and the variability from the data. So the easy way to do this is to remove the mean. You basically subtract the mean, and to remove the uh, variability, you basically divide the standard deviation. So in R, there's a function that's called scale, which you can directly use to standardize the data. For example, in this case, I'm storing the standardized value of the rainfall in location one column into this variable. So let's see how it looks like. So it looks like it had different values. Let's see, like this, let's get a summary of this scale variable. So it looks like the mean is 0, as I said, because when I standardize, the mean becomes 0, and the variability also goes out. So the other useful thing is normalizing. So by normalizing, what you do is basically also something like removing the mean as we did in standardization, but in this case, you divide by range. So there are different ways people normalize, one of the most common way is you divide by the range. By range, I mean you divide by maximum value minus minimum value. In this case, I'm writing this function, this line of code, which is basically saying that the location A column minus the minimum value of location A. So in this case, there are n values, so I'm also writing n.rm equals true, and then dividing this by maximum minus minimum. So the expected, what is expected to happen here is basically just normalizing the data. So let's see the summary of this variable. So you see that the max value is 1 because we are dividing by the range, and mean is 0. So these were example of how you can actually standardize and normalize the data, and also I've shown you how to split data into two. I hope this actually help you all to actually know how you can actually play with data and get the data in a shape that really helps you to work. So so hope that helps to you all, and thanks for watching.